Thanks everyone for joining us on time for today's webinar. And today in your career talk, we are hosting a very important alumni. I will quickly, before I hand over, the virtual mic to Nilisha, quickly take a minute to introduce you to Nilisha. Nilisha currently works in her capacity as an HR business partner, the zonal HR at Mahindra. She's of course known for her enthusiasm to excel, as many people, her colleagues like Vaibhav Singh from TCS also say. Prior to doing the Soil HRLP program, she did her bachelor's in electronics, electrical and electronics engineering, and obviously her entire stint at HRLP was something where she was one of the favorite students of RJR ma'am as well. What I personally really loved about her was this knack of writing that Nilisha displays, wherein her post actually exemplifies that wittiness that she's trying to get on the board, where she is making that analogy between a monkey's day in the jungle, mirroring the hustle of our corporate life, and she smiles over here as we say that. So really excited for this entire conversation, Nilisha. Even though I know that you keep it very low key from your virtual presence, but we know that what an impeccable career you've had so far, ever since you graduated from Anna University. There also an impeccable student. Then of course the journey at TCS, and post that Mahindra, and currently leading as a zonal HR at Mahindra. I think that's also been a wonderful journey. So we'll try to excavate, and try to dig in a little more about your journey, both at Mahindra AFS as well as Swaraj, and what has it been like. We know that you are a favorite of your colleagues, so we'll let you spearhead the entire conversation and take it forward. So first of all, please, it'll be great help if you could just probably put your entire career in perspective and help our audience to understand so that we can contextualize this discussion a little better.
Sure. So first of all, thank you, Neerja, for sparkling my entire career journey so beautifully. And while it might seem, it has been a lot of things that has happened in the past. That now that I'm right here, and soil has played one of the important role in carving this career journey of mine. So thank you once again for that. To begin with, Neeraja, like you have already mentioned, I'm basically from Bihar and had a beautiful journey in Tamil Nadu. Reason being, my father was working over there. So it was a journey of a person who had no idea about South Indian culture and living there, studying in a college where you would only have to speak in Tamil. Generally, people coming there would prefer that. And being the only North Indian in an entire college of in South was one of the biggest challenge. And that is when I completed my bachelor's with Sri Sai Ram Engineering College, and that was a beautiful journey to say. And post that, I was working with Tata Consultancy Services 2 years as a developer. And while there, it was good, but I did want to take up my career ahead into management, looking at the looking at my capability and how I can contribute further. And that is why I decided to not go by any conventional way of choosing any other college. So I chose soil after a very thorough analysis of why I want to really do this. And that is how I ended up here in soil, and then embarks another journey. And here I am. So
That's so beautifully, put together. Now, when we were trying to, of course, unearth, you have been a very bright, academically bright student, and even when we talk about your work, everybody talks a lot about your commitment towards work. But we see a lot of these fancy terms that have come, in the domain of HR, and somebody who studied HR like yourself, and is a practitioner, so to say, of HR. Like I was really fascinated to see on your LinkedIn profile, we were probably only aware about diversity, equity, and inclusion, but now this is diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. So tell us a little bit more about your journey as a practitioner. How do you think you've seen way back? You did your HRLP program during the COVID times. Post COVID time has considered to be a very decisive era for human resources, and it's no more a Rangoli maker. It's no more only operations. It's much more strategic. It's much more than what people would actually conceive it before. So tell us a little bit more about the landscape of human resources and how you witnessed the changing landscape a little bit.
sure. So initially, when HRs have been trolled about rangoli making and all of those things, and I do not deny any of it, I still feel that that plays an important role because it is one part of an employee's journey, and these are some of the things which was elemental and which has been exaggerated and kept as rangoli making thing. So I would not deny any part of it, but first coming to the aspect of DEI and belonging. uh, DEI has been one of the topic which has been spoken a lot. Everybody speaks about this without really understanding what is the essence. The essence is only inclusion. The moment you start making everybody feel included on the platform that people are coming in, everything is all there on the platter. You get in people from diverse background any which ways. A person might be from different gender, different state, different religion background. That is altogether a diversity. But the most important question that we must ask ourselves is on inclusion. Belongingness just travels at that point of time. So that is my perspective, Neeraja. When you say that, we keep on adding things to, we try and make things very complicated, while everything is very simple out there when we actually start taking up things practically. So I think people, our HR fraternity should start looking at things in order to make things more inclusive. Just make it simple so that everybody on the same platform is able to utilize it and see it with the same perspective. So that is my take on this.
That's so true. That's so true. That sense of belonging, inclusivity is so central, to you being driven to even doing work. And you are a workaholic. Even on a Saturday, you were willing to, share your story. So that just speaks volume. Like I said in the introduction, also we were really fascinated by the way that you write, and it's beautifully written altogether. But this was of course the bird's eye view about how HR is changing, or you try to define the diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging space. Tell us, how does a typical day look like? Like, is it actually mimicking the monkey, like you mentioned in your post, or how does that hustle actually looks like on a typical day? So, what is a typical day for you essentially looking like? So, just help us decode that as well, please.
Sure. So it's exactly like what I mentioned in that post about being a monkey. While you can structure it more, so there are a lot of things a business HR takes up. So there are different roles in HR when it comes to certain COE roles like talent acquisition or organization development or talent management. But when you're in a role of an HR business partner, uh, you have to traverse with the entire life cycle of an employee, which includes taking care of every day you have some sort of a person calling you and telling, hey, I just met with so and so issue, I need you to take care of this. So every day is a challenging thing, and you get to, being in Mahindra, you get to take up a lot of projects apart from the general BAU that you're working on. So I would still call it a monkey climbing from one branch to another.
True, that's so true. Let's rewind a little bit. I know that right now you've got an impeccable career. You've displayed these great ups in your career post soil. Also, that's basically exemplified via your promotion. Also, the segue that you've made in your career. Just help us understand if we rewind, and you're probably looking at the entire placement process, because a lot of your juniors right now in the HRLP program, the PGPM HRLP program, or the PGDM HR cohort, they'll also be sitting for their placements in the next 90 days, 14 weeks from now. So just help us, probably what were the tips and tricks, what were the techniques that you leveraged at that time to prepare, to upskill, and how did you actually, start preparing to face that final interview altogether? Because you of course got selected, and like I said at the beginning, you are RJ ma'am's favorite, so it's really tough to get that tag also. So tell us, now you're smiling, but just tell us, help us understand that, what are the laundry lists of to-dos that people should definitely be doing, so that, they also crack a role. So we'd love to know your tips and tricks and techniques.
Yeah, so I don't know. It worked for me, so I hope if whoever is listening to me, you can try it out at your risk. So I came with a mindset that what, this 1 year is all yours. I'm gonna do everything possible in my strength to crack as many interviews as possible. So that was my mindset initially. I came, and it's very important, when we are in such competitive world, we shouldn't leave our herd who's there with us. So it was the cross functional learning played a very important role during my interview process, because I had friends from finance, I had friends from analytics. We really shared a lot of things among each other, which really helped me gain upskill myself on certain things which I was not really good at. The second thing was that, uh, make a framework of your strength and weakness. Leverage your strength at that point of time. Design your story in a manner that you're able to pitch it at any point of time somebody's asking you. So the house of strength is what I call. So write it down, take a piece of paper, write down what is the best that you can do at, and what is something that you are not really good at, and then design your particular story. So that really helped. The next thing was, we had phases of GD, then I actually sat for 3 long hours of interview. So it's important that you work on your basics. I still carry this book on Gary Dessler, which I still refer, in case I have to during my work if I'm doing certain projects. So I really think that really helps. Carry your book. Have a habit of, having that one book which is your favorite and go to. At any point of time, you just refer to, just refreshing your mind on what concept you were reading, and do not just stop with one book. Take a topic and study as many books on those particular topics to, diverge your thinking capability on that particular topic. And yeah, that would be it, Neeraja. That is what really helped me out.
Absolutely. I think that's so true. That's so true. Have that go-to book and academic foundation will always help you, even in the work world. Just help us understand that, right now, because we're in the day and age where there's so much of FOMO, there's so much of fear of missing out if you genuinely do not partake of what is being given to you. And there's a very important question that students have that, what are some of the go-to certifications as an aspiring HR professional that they should definitely be focusing on, particularly when we're talking about HRIS, particularly when we're talking about the automation that is taking place and the rapid growth of human resources becoming more intensely involved in the data driven processes. So help us understand, are there any to do courses that you would recommend? Of course, the book that you said, Tesla, is of course a bible, so to say, or a gospel of human resources. That's always good to have, but anything besides that, or do you think you are of that school of thought that if you just constantly upskill yourself with even certain videos which are available, or understanding what roles are there, that's also more than enough? So could you just help us understand those
Yeah.
aspects also, please?
So when I was in my soil days, I would have this sort of a question that, do I really need to upskill myself on certain certifications? It's a personal choice. I particularly feel that at this point, when you are looking out for placements, it's important that your skill set speaks, because during interview, what you answer is going to make you break it, uh, or make it. So it's important that take up courses on Power BI, on a lot of analytical ones. Even if you want to, if you are comfortable with Excel, take it up in Excel, because a lot of us, we know Excel, we speak of Excel, but really we do not know in and out of it. So you can take that as the thing, and make it your core. And skill set is what is going to speak. Your basics should be strong. So after you have certain level of experience, for sure you can go for some sort of a certification. I recently did a certification with NHRD, because I would like to, my core area of interest is organization development, and now I'm planning to take things up on that particular stride. So post certain level of experience, you do it, it will have some sort of a, it will make it more meaningful than doing it right away, and burdening all the more yourself during this curriculum. So I really suggest that focus on the curriculum. It's very beautifully designed, and study the recommended books by the professors being given out. That should really help you during the interview, and post that you can plan out the certifications.
I agree. I agree. Even though that's the most challenging part for this generation, I don't know if you're also part of that Gen Z or not. But they would probably figure out a way to figure out not to read the readings properly and just escape. But I think that's such a good important suggestion that they need to definitely have that in-depth analysis, those readings that, the professors are actually bludgeoning them to, or pushing them would be a correct word to read. Just making a segue now, of course, you've beautifully told about your journey as a student, how it's very important to have a strengths framework, assessing where you are, having that academic foundation, and really being passionate about your course. And I think that's been one of your USP. Whatever I've interacted with the faculties, also they always said that you had that energy, and that energy, of course, was a byproduct of the well-read persona that you had, or how diligently you were following up. So what is the way through which people can actually keep abreast or keep a pace with what is happening in the world of HR, like probably like following People Matters, or how otherwise can they be staying still relevant, understanding that what is happening in the domain of HR? So any suggestions on those grounds?
Yeah. So follow a lot of leverage LinkedIn basically. So there are a lot of people who speak good content and who have been working for years together in this industry. And what's best, which comes out from somebody who's a veteran in the industry. So follow those people who are actually, presenting real time case scenarios, sharing those kind of perspectives. Because HR trends every year you will find it on Google. It just goes on and on with the same AI and same all of those things. But what is really happening in real time, you'll know it from the people who are practicing it. So while follow People Matters as well, and many other Bamboo HR and many such sites are there, which is helpful. Do that, but have certain set of people. Do your own research. Whom do you want to follow? You do not really have to blindly follow every HR person who's posting things out there, and that actually has helped me understand a lot of things which happening in other companies, and what's really working out in other companies should be practiced in ours. So that is how it has been going all this time.
Absolutely. There's currently, in your current capacity, you also take charge of, building the pipeline, so to say. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a lot of times, unfortunately, we forget that, that's actually the building block of businesses. So what advice would you like to give to HR people who are like, no, they already have their watertight compartments ready, that no, I will only do L&D, or I will only do workforce planning or succession planning, or I would only get into some kind of specific roles altogether. Whereas your career just shows that you've always embraced things with the open heart, and tried to take that approach of problem solving, figuring out how can you become better at those projects which were given to you. So just help us understand this aspect as well, that that what advice would you give to people not to be very stubborn and rigid, considering the contours of HR are also changing now heavily.
So I was also similarly apprehensive. I was like, no, I'm not joining TA. I'm not taking up TA role. I'm not doing that. So the moment I stepped into a business HR role, I started understanding the nuances of various COE and the important role that it played. And then my apprehension about talent acquisition changed humongously. Reason being, when we speak about HR strategy, the major strategy that happens is in talent acquisition, and so that was my mind shift change, and that is what I say to every budding aspirants, that we have not stepped into that role to even think that what are the challenges or what you really actually do in that particular role. So I know we all have this sort of an apprehension because we are going to speak with 10 other people and say, oh, I'm in this particular role, but experience it. That is what I'm going to say, that HR has got many aspects to it, many different verticals under it, and you'll be lucky if you get to explore all of these things. So, and each of the role has got its own way of strategizing, and it's the best. So has been my understanding, being in 3.5 years of experience in HR. So this is my take, Neerja.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love how you're so crisp, concise, and you're absolutely to the point as an HR professional. You don't meander at all. That's kudos to you. Now, just looking at, of course, like you were an engineer. You were coming from an engineering background, even at Anna University, and a meritorious student, in Triple E. So, what prompted you? What was that turning point where you thought that an MBA in HR was at the horizon, and you wanted to make you wanted to pivot your career into human resources? So what was that turning point for you, considering this is also a very hard narrative? A lot of times people are not able to convince through their stories or their narrative as to why they made a segue into HR, why human resources was a ultimate calling for them. So maybe they can get inspired by your story. So what was your story of why you wanted to shift into human resources from an engineer?
This somehow reminds me of my interview where I am expected to say, why did you change your career from an engineering to an HR? But so to say, the very reason was that I was very clear before joining an engineering that perhaps this is not where I'm going to really land into. Engineering is not my forte because previous to that I had two options with me. Either I'm going to become a lawyer, but then I took it. I gave my law exams. It did not really go through, and I thought, let me not waste my time, and I took up engineering, like a lot of us. And while the journey of engineering was also great, but I knew that I was capable for a lot more. I took up a lot of roles in during my degree, which really made me feel, and my professors feel, that I can take up leadership roles going forward. And then it was more like, what should I choose among? Marketing or finance or HR? And then at that point of time, it was very common that females would choose HR, and I generally do not take up conventional ways. So that was somewhere stuck in my mind. But still, I did my analysis on why I would be a good fit in marketing or why I would be a good fit in HR. And post that analysis, the SWOT analysis that I did at that point of time with my brother, it really helped me choose where I would really make my career much more beautiful than in any other stream. So yeah, that is it, Neeraj.
Great. This journey after soil, the 2 years at AFS, you call it, as in your posts and otherwise also like a very blissful journey. So tell us a little bit about this journey overall. The 2 year journey. How was a typical day looking like? What were the typical challenges that you were facing? What were the tasks that you were, of course, within the purview of your confidential, because we do understand a lot of information is confidential, but still whatever parts, like how are you firefighting on a day-to-day basis, because your colleagues of course label you as somebody who has a lot of enthusiasm to fight challenges. So but still tell us about those 2 years at AFS.
So the day I joined, I became a day one business HR. Reason being, my manager was on 1 month leave, and all of all of the people, they were all waiting for somebody to take up that position so that they can just throw in emails of their issues. So the moment I joined, within 1 week, I was inducted into that particular position. And while I was fresh out of college, I was not ready to take this up. I was like, "ठीक है, slowly I'll get to know about the company and all of those things." So within 1 week, I got to know of the entire system, how it is working. And thanks to the colleagues over there who were so, dedicated enough to spend that much amount of time on me to, make me ready in 1 week to take up that particular role of a business HR. While at that point of time, when my other MT colleagues were still enjoying their training period of being an MT. So that came as my first learning over there. We sometimes think that we cannot really learn things that quickly, but when things fall upon us, we do. And immediately I was tagged around 300 to 400 people, with people calling, ma'am, this is the situation, how are you going to tackle or help us out, and all of these things. And then that you start, researching with your colleagues, that how to tackle this particular situation. And that is the entire role of a business HR, wherein day in day out you're spending 8 hours connected with each of your employees. At least this is how it happens in a manufacturing company, like Mahindra Research Valley, where generally when you speak with HR fraternity of IT, they might not have this close connect with the employees. But in manufacturing, you are a part of them. You do not call yourself as a HR person, you call yourself as a sales guy or a customer care guy, or that person. So that also came as another learning, that you just stop differentiating yourself. And post that, I was lucky enough, I was given some really good portfolio. So at that point of time, there was a new Mahindra track which was going to get set up. And it's not very easy that you get a role in R&D and then you get to manage something like a infrastructure or a plant sort of a setup. And within that 2 years, I was managing initially I managed the R&D set of employees, and then I was working with the uh, the plant setup, and then post that uh, I got moved as a zonal HR. So in within a span of 3 years, three different arenas, three different kind of people that you're managing came as a massive learning in a business HR role, and this only happens in business HR role. So that is what, Neeraj.
My God, this was very, very inspiring and such a great journey overall. There is a doubt before we go forward, and I urge all the participants, please feel free, to put your doubts, questions that you have in the Q&A section. We've got one anonymous attendee asking that which topics in academia in HR were frequently asked. If you can probably recollect or share from your current experience.
During interview you would be asked from every sort of things. Majorly what I was asked was on motivation theories, compensation, comp and ben. Uh, the theories, majorly they'll expect you to have the theory straight out in on your fingertips, and some of the frameworks, uh, read through those, and they would want you to link up all the frameworks with a real time scenario, or how would you utilize these kind of frameworks if you're implementing a particular initiative. So that linkage helps you to understand in depth of how you can utilize a framework. So that has been on a high level how my questioning during interviews were on.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. Any strategy that you recommend? Perhaps, like I said, students are really curious because in the 14 weeks they will be sitting for their placement week, and competition is just rising because they're competing with say close to about over 350 students altogether. Of course, HRLP program and HR cohort at the PGDM program is going to be like say some 120 odd people, but still the competition is really intense, and human resources vacancies also, they're mostly lateral hirings because you don't have those bulk campus hirings for niche profiles in human resources. So any sort of Bible, and everyone would be listening to you intently on this aspect, that as a to-do list. Besides, of course, you beautifully said the theories, the book that they need to consult, but any other aspects that they can strongly keep in mind?
uh, Initially I told you about creating your house of strength, wherein you weave your stories. The job market is very difficult at this point of time, and they are very selective about selecting people at this point. And to make you stand out, you really need to weave a best story that you can in front. The first 1 minute that you are speaking has to be really impactful, and they need to know that you do have some sort of a depth. You have done your study about the company, of why you're really wanting to get into this company, why you have really passionate about this particular role. You really need to do those sort of a homework. That's very important. Second would be basics. That does not go. Even at this point of time, I'm requiring to keep on revising my basics. So frameworks and all of these theories really help you through, and please go through those. And third is help your friends at any point of time. Cross learning really helps. Uh, Help your people even when two of you are together giving an interview. Just try and get what they understood of particular concept and what has been your understanding. That really creates a different perspective of one particular framework itself. And if at all I have to speak about, generally in interviews or during selection process, you have a GD round. At that point everybody can have their own strategy. My strategy has been, because I am an introvert sort of a person, I wouldn't generally want to go up first and be like, "ठीक है." My strategy has always been listening to people and then pitching up my point of view the moment I find a little bit of gap, rather than getting into that you know thing of getting into some sort of a debating aspect. So choose your pre-plan your strategy before getting into all of these interviews, because it has to seem seamless at that point of time, and for to make it look seamless you really need to practice it well in advance. So that has been all, Neeraja.
So well put, so well put. I think a brilliant advice for the introverts of the world, that it's of course the impact that you made in the group discussion, but not at the cost of, just being not true to your own personality. That won't help you at all. So it's better to display good listening skills and then, go to the court. Excellent, beautifully said. I think that's where maybe did you ditch not going to law, or not going for law because of your introverted personality, or?
No, I just missed by 5 marks.
Oh, you oh God, hard luck, or lucky the HRLP program. Okay, great. As we are moving towards the end, it will be great to know a little more about your perspective, your opinion. Considering a lot of times when we look at all the various departments, human resources gets a lot of flack when we're saying, oh, automation is happening, HR is going to be irrelevant, or HR people, like you beautifully said initially, that you need to up your game when it comes to analytics, Power BI, knowing how to use those analytics tools. So, E, what do you see as the future of HR as a practitioner, and what are certain must-know skills that a current MBA student should definitely make sure that they're already sharpening themselves on that front? Would love to know your opinion.
Yeah. So something which generally gets missed upon is being a problem solver. It we if you are from an engineering background, I don't know how, but during that 4 years of grilling, it automatically comes down, and subconsciously you start behaving in that manner, that something is thrown at you and you start, okay, you have this option, you have this option, you have this option. But even if somebody who does not have this sort of a mindset, it's important that you start developing, working on this, that when some issue comes, rather than thinking over it, how to how has this happened, start thinking over how can you solve this particular situation, because that is what is going to help you in this corporate world. Second thing is that AI has come already, and a lot of companies have started, integrating their process along with AI. Obviously, things about that AI is going to replace human resources. That's not going to happen, because there are certain aspects which is replaceable, because those are something can be done on a repeated basis, and I'm sure those kind of work can be replaced and it should be replaced. But human resource is way beyond that, and integrating AI into these kind of processes is just helping us improvise our employee experience, or the reason that why we are working as an HR in an organization. Then when I say about analytics, why it's very important, though everybody every year on year we keep saying that analytics is the new trend, new trend, new trend, but none of us have caught on this trend, and we have not full-fledged utilized it as well. So because data is the one which is going to really help us analyze everything day in day out. We're speaking with people. People are emotionally driven, but what really gives you a shape to all of these emotionally driven thoughts is the data, and which you can present. So it's important that you are able to make a story out of all the data. And so data analysis, analytics goes without saying. Work on anyone, let it be Tableau or Power BI or Excel or any other method of doing data analytics. Just take up any one and learn further on that. That should help.
Absolutely. Like even Aranmurthy says, in God we trust, but for everybody else, we need data. So you need to make sure that, you're upping your game in that particular regard. Now, as we're moving towards the conclusion, any parting thoughts that you'll definitely like to hammer in? And I would just like to mention this because, this is the career talk. In the next 90 days, 14 weeks, we'll see a lot of these students, sitting for their important interviews and cracking those roles and starting their careers very soon after. So any advice to, the current batch who is going to be both from the PGPM and the PGTM programs, who are going to be kickstarting their careers very, very soon after cracking those roles? You've been a practitioner into the field, but you were not very long ago, in their shoes. As you're fondly called, I hope RJ ma'am calls you the COVID batch, but a very dear batch altogether as well, because I think that was very decisive, especially from the HR's perspective. So as an HR professional, any last minute parting concluding thoughts, for everyone before we wrap up?
Okay, so while majorly I've told, see, give it all that you have in you. There shouldn't be a space of regret after this 1 year is completed, that I should have done a little more better during the interview. give it all, and then when things result out, you'll be happy about it. That is one of the major thing. And say hi to Arja ma'am from my side. I have not been able to be in touch with her because of my busy schedule. And next thing, to all the HR friends who is watching me, is that you can connect with me any point of time. You would want to get some sort of an advice on how to prepare on certain topics. And if there is certain queries you have on changing certain topics into a real time scenario, how would you convert this, you can anytime keep in touch with me on those things. And that's it. Keep it simple. Be your best self there, and be curious. If that is the most important thing. All of us might have some sort of an experience, or might be a fresher who might be here, but curiosity really helps even during interview. So keep that on.
Absolutely, beautifully said. I think on that note, thank you so much, Nilisha, for taking out the time, spending your Saturday evening with us. And like Nilisha said, please feel free to keep in touch with Nilisha. I hope they can reach out to you via LinkedIn. I hope that's fine, Nilisha, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
perfect, perfect. So please have the mentor and the experience. And thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks, big thanks to you, Nilisha, for spending your Saturday evening with us. Thanks so much, Arvind, for putting this up together for all of us so that everyone could get the opportunity of interacting with Nilisha. And just to share a quick anecdote, actually, Nilisha has been a very close friend of Arvind's sister, right?
Yeah,
Nilisha?
yeah. She's my best friend, and that's how I actually referred Arvind at that point of time, knowing his interest into management. So
Absolutely. I think it's such a small world. Everyone encounters each other. But thanks so much. Thank you.
thank you so much, Neeraj. It was pleasure connecting with you all.
Likewise, likewise. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.